We got a great crowd. This is what you want. I mean, the whole lower bowl here, it looks like it's pretty full. And that's where the vibe comes in, and you've got to take advantage of it if you're New York.
No question. Desperation situation, trying to snap a 4-game losing streak, and what better way to get on the right track. And a great atmosphere here at Barclays Center in Brooklyn.
They brought back the fire, too. I mean, the fire that you can feel when they're announcing the lineups. I love it.
No doubt about it. There's a miss from Natasha Howard. Here comes Bria Hartley the other way. Both teams with a miss on their opening possession. Hartley inside. Nice pass to Rashonda Gray, who gets the layup to go.
Rashonda Gray getting the start here today. And you mentioned it, Michael, early in the broadcast in the open. A couple players out. So it's going to really open up the door for others to step up here today.
Whitcomb gets the mid-range J to go.
And Whitcomb is a player to keep an eye on because the last 2 seasons, she has lit up the Liberty at different times. She's just a really great shooter. Going to play more minutes because Jewel Lloyd has been out a couple games with ankle injuries, in and out a bit. Not starting today, clearly.
An earlier turnover there, but Nurse controls. Gets it inside to Patricia Wright. There's a foul. Jordan Canada holding up her hand. So in Canada, that's her first. You mentioned Whitcomb knocking down that shot on the previous possession for Seattle. She was 0 for 7 in their last game against Dallas, so that's a positive sign for her.
Yeah, it takes that first shot especially to get the confidence if you're a shooter.
Shot clock issue. Officials, Byron Jarrett, John Butler, Kevin Fahey today.
And Katie Smith really telling me before the game that so much of today will be about taking care of the ball, as I mentioned, but the Storm are going to really pressure New York all over the floor.
And we saw in that position there, Natasha Howard with the block. She was first team all defense a season ago in the WNBA. Clark with the right hand. Oh, that's tough.
Tough shot. Off the glass. Calling that bank here. That's not bad defense. That is better offense.
Third meeting of the season between these two teams. Seattle won the first two as Tina Charles gets the baseline J to go. First meeting between these two teams. The Liberty won in the nail-biter. And then Seattle got payback in the second meeting, winning that game going away.
And it was an absolute blowout. And that was something that has been fresh on Katie Smith's mind, on this team's mind. And I asked her about that before the game, and she said that should actually lead them to want to beat them. That was the last taste they had in their mouth, was a blowout loss. Now they get them at home.
Kia Nurse called for that foul on the previous possession. There's Whitcomb. Offensive board to Howard. She tries again. Whitcomb from deep.
There it is. I told you. She has it out for New York. I mean, every single season, you've got to be in her face on the catch. And when she was at Washington, she was a standout. I mean, that was the way that she was. She's got the ability to score in bunches. So you got to watch out for her.
Mercedes Russell called for that foul. It'll put Tina Charles at the free throw line. 80% foul shooter this season. And a big positive sign, as we mentioned in the open, Jules. Tina Charles getting back on the right track. 55% shooter in the last game. It wasn't a loss to Chicago, but her most efficient game scoring of the season.
And they really should have won that game. And it was a game where the fourth quarter really killed them, but good signs, like we've been mentioning. Good signs that the team had players play well, and including their top star in her.
7-6 Seattle lead in the early going here in Brooklyn. Howard trying to put a shot up on Rashonda Gray. Can't get it to go. Here comes Hartley for New York. Up ahead. There's a deflection, but Charles controls. And it's knocked out of bounds.
That's great defense by Howard. She hustles back. She gets a piece of it. But that's the way to push the basketball. And she's got those long arms.
Hartley lines one up. Gets the three-pointer to go.
Nice inside-out action. Good execution out of the out-of-bounds play. And she bobbled that ball, too. And still made it.
Not an easy play to convert. As Hartley picks up the foul there. A little bit too aggressive. And seeing Hartley continue to take strides is something that I'm sure they'll be looking for over the course of the remaining games of the season.
Absolutely. And she's a player that, see there, she catches in rhythm, kind of bobbles it, but gets it back into her fingertips. And she has had a very solid season. Again, one of the players that went overseas for a little bit. I think that little hiccup of time caused her to have to come back, get used to things again, but absolutely, she can score. But you've got to really look out for the point guard play, and Hartley is one of those players that's kind of a 1-2, and there hasn't been anyone that has totally taken those reins on this season for New York in terms of a true point guard. Several players have played the point because it is positionless basketball anymore, but that's one thing I think is going to be important heading down the stretch here.
Trying to find some consistency. Brittany Boyd started the majority of the games in the early portion of the season. She didn't play a single minute against Chicago. We'll see if she gets time today. As Kia Nurse lines one up from long distance. No good. Offensive rebound, Gray. She's been a workhorse in the early going of this first quarter. 7 on the shot clock. Charles going to have to put it up. And it's a shot clock violation. Good defense by Seattle.
And that's the strength of this Seattle team. I mean, that's how they've been able to keep themselves in games all season. It's that unrelenting effort on the defensive end. I mean, they don't. That's Coach Dan Hughes for you. I mean, that is his thing. It's kind of been a quiet attribute of his that's gone through WNBA history. Defensive-minded coach right there.
Perfect fit with this Seattle team.
Tradition dating back to 2001 when he was with the Cleveland Rockers, where they only allowed 55 points a game that year, which is remarkable and unheard of.
Rashonda Gray has played well in this early going. She picks up her second foul there, though. So Nail Rancott Kunwe is going to check in the game for the Liberty.
And great job, though, with the backdoor cut. Really noticing, hey, I'm being overplayed. Clark goes backdoor, and Gray is not someone you want to see on the bench. She is ferocious, and she's not afraid to put a body on Natasha Howard.
Here's Sammy Wickham once again. She's got a quick release. Misses the three. Here comes New York running the other way. Nurse. No good. Nice battle for the offensive board. Tina Charles off the glass for 2.
Excellent job. Tina always in the right position.
How would you assess the overall effort so far from New York in the early going?
I like it, Michael. I do. I think it's a good start for them, and so much is predicated upon that good start. You can usually tell which personality of the team you're going to get that given night based on how they start. And Nurse with the miss in transition, and Tina Charles is battling the offensive rebound. You get the extra possession. Those hustle plays matter, and this is why. That's not an easy shot either. No. Turn away fadeaways. I mean, that's just her game.
6 points already for Tina Charles.
And you want to see your best player doing the gritty.
The Liberty have to find a way to defend without fouling, Jules. A lot of whistles on this end of the floor.
Yeah, and this crew calls a lot of them, too, that we've got here today. And that's one thing that's been a little up and down all season, but the consistency and being able to recognize it as a player.
Yes. You have to recognize that quickly and then adjust. Because Seattle's getting to the free throw line quite a bit. Great cut to Kunwe, trying to find someone. Gives it to Charles, 5 on the shot clock. Wright puts it up. Can't get the bounce.
The ball sticking on the right side of the floor. You want to ball reverse that. Get the defense shifting and moving. It's too easy to cover you if you stay on one side of the floor with the ball.
There's Wickham. She's been hot in the early going.
Oh, they're looking to get it into Howard.
Really good defensive possession here from New York. Alicia Clark may have gotten away with the travel there, but she gets the left-hand layup to go.
She's explosive. She makes some difficult degree of shots, and she's their disruptor on the other end.
Charles fading away. Just made a career out of that. Canada driving. Nice look to Alicia Clark. Caught New York sleeping.
Jordan Canada coming off a terrific game against Dallas. 6 assists in that one, 18 points. She's going to get people involved.
Tough pass there from Wright, trying to get it to Raincock Akunwe. Here comes Seattle. And nice deflection. We have a timeout. 3:44 to go in the opening quarter. The Storm leading the Liberty 14-13 here on Yes. Last few days, including this panel discussion. Liberty present Forgotten Behind Bars, Women's Health Care, Family, and Representation. They also had a workshop, Wowsome Workshop, that uses the power of authentic storytelling to provide encouragement and offer real-world advice to help young women and girls prepare to meet the challenges they will face in their lifetimes. There was also a pre-game youth basketball clinic as well, geared towards youth who have incarcerated families in order to help them find an outlet to express themselves freely.
Very cool stuff going on with the ladies in her success over the years. But a lot of women with a lot of great things to say. Wow, nice move by Allen.
Picking up where she left off in the last game, where she had a career-high 21 points against Chicago. Gets her first basket to go. Liberty retake the lead.
That hand is feeling all right, Michael.
She was red hot in that game. Speaking of hot, Maureen Johannes in the game. She was 6 for 6 in that last outing. We'll see how she performed in today's game. Rebound Charles.
I think Katie said to us, I hope she doesn't go 0 for 6 this time. I mean, let's not jinx it here.
Pretty remarkable to have 2 games in a short amount of time where she was perfect from the floor. It's Canada the other way. Gets the layup to go.
Those are the live ball turnovers right there, Michael, that can't happen for this Liberty team. They're leading to points. If you're going to turn it over, don't turn it over when it's so easy for your opponent to score like that.
You can sense frustration all around from the Liberty. They know what the issue is. As Tina Charles gets the jumper to go.
They've been okay so far. It's early yet. But you don't want to get Seattle going based off that.
No. Especially a team that really wants to run. Because Alicia Clark, she's been a problem inside. Can't get that to go, but she's fouled. That foul's called on Rebecca Allen. That's her first as Clark heads to the line.
Clark, the Middle Tennessee State phenom. I mean, she was tremendous there. 2 explosive seasons. But she is a competitor. She's gotten better on the offensive end. It's been impressive to watch her over the last 7 years or so in the league.
As you see, Brittany Boyd checking into the game. She didn't clock a single minute in the loss against Chicago. As Katie Smith, again, tinkering with the lineup, trying to find what works. Brittany Boyd trying to stay confident throughout the entire process.
Yeah, Michael, we asked her about that, too. And we asked if she was losing her confidence at all because she's coming off the bench. And she's not. She's actually taking on that role pretty well. And a player like her who's competitive, it will light you on fire to play better. The only reason they inserted Tanisha Wright was because they needed that veteran leadership, that stability from her on the defensive end where the Liberty were struggling. So if you're going to lose your starting spot to someone, it's going to be a veteran like Tanisha.
Really curious to see how Brittany responds. She's a competitor for sure. 3 seconds on the shot clock as Nail puts it up. Can't get it to go. Tina Charles did a great job of keeping it alive, but she smacks Natasha Howard, who gets the rebound. Not good because that's the now 7th foul that's been called on the New York Liberty in this first quarter, and the Storm will shoot free throws.
And another terrific defensive possession, and that is definitely an accidental foul.
Not good.
And she's all right. She doesn't look like she's bleeding, and that's a good sign.
84% free throw shooter, and her rise has been remarkable. Hard to believe that just a couple of seasons ago she was traded to Seattle from Minnesota for a 2nd-round pick. Last season, first team all-defense. This season, first-time all-star.
She took a leap from rotation player to crucial starter. I mean, one of the most underrated trades, really, of all. She was part of that trade from Minnesota, the Lynx. That was the Lynx' biggest loss when they lost her in terms of a quality bench trade. And now look at her. She's been tremendous. And she was on the bench for the Lynx.
Yes. And the fact that the Storms are in playoff position, and Natasha Howe is a big reason why. Playing with, without Sue Bird, playing without Brianna Stewart.
This team could have bottomed out, but they've got a group of fighters.
Han Shu checking into the game. Going to get some early run for the Liberty.
And her parents are in the house.
Oh, they'll get a kick out of this.
And she really hasn't played every game, so it's good to see Katie subbing her in early, see what she can do.
Appreciate you joining us here in Brooklyn. First regular season game for the New York Liberty here at Barclays Center. Joining us in the second quarter, WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. She's going to join us in a matter of moments. First Seattle turnover of the game comes with a little more than a minute to go in the opening quarter. Rebecca Allen for three. Can't get it to go. 2-point game, under a minute to go in this first quarter. The veteran, Crystal Langhorne, put the move on Han Shu. Couldn't get it to go because the offensive putback.
A nice battle. I mean, and you've got to be more physical in a situation like that. If you're Han Shu, you've got to put a body on Langhorne.
Boy, the Shu puts it up. Can't get the three to go. Langhorne comes away with it. See how Seattle operates on this final possession. One that they've controlled, though, it's just a 4-point game. And there's a bucket there by Karina Mosqueda-Lewis. 7-0 Seattle run. 23-17. Final position for the Liberty. Boy, to Johannes. Ooh. Does not fall, and that's the way the first quarter comes to a close here at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Seattle leading 23-17. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's going to join us at the start of the second quarter. You're watching Liberty Basketball on Yes. It's great to be joined by WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. First WNBA Commissioner, hired May 15th. She was the Deloitte CEO from 2015 to 2019. First female CEO of Big Four firm in the U.S. and basketball team captain for Lehigh University. Played under Muffet McGraw, and it is exciting for you to be here with us, Kathy. Thanks so much for joining us. And
Michael,
how much of a treat is it for you to be here in Brooklyn on Unity Day?
Oh, it's so great. Such a purpose-driven event today, and it's great to see the players out here as well playing at such a high level.
Kathy, you're brand new. I mean, this is an incredible position that you were able to take on. What's the transition been like? You were at Deloitte, now you're commissioner of the WNBA. What has it been like for you?
Yeah, a lot of people ask that question around the transition, and, sports is business, so I have over 3 decades of business, but what I've been really pleased with is the level of play, the passion for the game, the fans. Obviously, we have some things to work on around fan experience, player experience, the economics, but I've been so pleased with how I've been able to transition from business into sports and how many similarities there are around leadership and women's leadership.
Kathy, you talked about your 3 pillars, and you just mentioned them. Can you expound on that a little bit in terms of what you're looking for success for the league?
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is we want to attract a millennial and digital native fan base, broaden the fan base, more diverse. This is the most diverse league in sports, these women. And they're so socially minded and community, all involved in the community, and they all have their own style. So really enhancing that player experience, bringing the fans more broad exposure to the players year-round rather than just in season. So we're working with the media on that as well as obviously with the league. And really economics. We need to drive different business models. We need corporate sponsorships. We need, again, a conversation. We have a great opportunity next year with the Olympics. So the Olympics team, the women's national team, will be all WNBA players. They're 101 over the last 6 Olympics. That's their record, and going for their 7th consecutive gold medal. So using all that as momentum to, elevate the brand of these women.
Speaking of the Olympics and even transitioning into European sports, is there anything that you see? I mean, obviously, there's got to be a new CBA coming up, all that. What kind of challenges do you see in terms of that? And what are your thoughts on the CBA and travel, players, salaries, all that? I mean, there's probably so many things that you're thinking about.
Yeah, so this is a multi-dimensional transformation. At the same time, we're transforming the league. We're also in CBA negotiations, as you mentioned. So this, my player experience, fan experience, and economics will fix a lot of these things. Some of our players do need to play year-round to get better. Maybe our elite players don't. So there's a lot to think about as we think about what the players do in the off-season.
But with that thought, how does Europe and then the WNBA work a little better together? Because so many players we've seen it for years, come in and then they've got to leave and go back overseas, and then they come back and there's that kind of that hiccup in the team chemistry.
Well, that's why we want the WNBA to be, their main job, and obviously some of them want to play off-season, want to get better, but we do need to work together with FIBA and others, and obviously we've been doing a lot with USA Basketball to keep that conversation. We announced when we were out at the All-Star collaboration with USA Basketball around keeping 8 players in market, paying them to train and not to have to go overseas. So, we're going to keep chipping away at this issue and determine what the best model is for these women to train in the off-season.
Kevin, in terms of other issues, as you know, Renata Cleanway gets in for a layup and heading to the Seattle layup. New CBA. What are some issues that are top of mind for the new CBA? Let's take a timeout. Do you have a moment?
Yes, I have a minute.
Side of this break?
Great.
All right, we have a timeout on the floor. 7:22 to go in this opening half. Seattle leading 25-23. You're watching Liberty Basketball here on Yes. Brooklyn, Seattle leading the New York Liberty 25-23 alongside Julian Gianni. I'm Michael Grady, and we're joined by WNBA Commissioner once again, Kathy Engelberg. Kathy, before the timeout, we were talking about new CBA priorities, issues that are top of mind as you begin negotiations.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that's nice here in having negotiated contracts over my long career is we all have the same goal here. The players, the owners, the GMs, the COOs, the league, we all are trying to elevate the brand of these women, the brand of the league. So that's kind of the nice thing. We're all working towards the same goals here. And, I think, I feel really good about the platform that these women have and offering that to the world, quite frankly.
Can you talk a little bit about the Liberty ownership, the new ownership that they've got here, the situation in New York? I mean, do you make it your business to go to every team's game? And just what are your thoughts on that, and how can that help this particular team?
So I started less than a month ago. This is my second Liberty game.
I was thinking that. I was like, wow. And
living
New Jersey,
in the New York, living in the New York area helps for sure. But I am going to get to every market by the playoffs, and the playoffs are only 4 weeks away.
Wow.
So great. We're going to go on a tour starting this week in Minneapolis, and then wrapping up, being Connecticut and Seattle and Phoenix and LA. So it's Chicago, Atlanta. It's going to be great. So I will tell you, though, that, as you think about broadening the exposure for these women, these are the elite athletes. We're the only league that's been around over 2 decades. This is our 23rd year, and it's very consequential because we're in CBA negotiations as well. But, again, I couldn't be more pleased coming into the role.
Big thing for me that I want to ask you is what needs to happen to reach more people, to get them interested in the WNBA. I know that's got to be in the top of your mind in terms of marketing tactics. I know these are all things that are going to take time, but
it's a sales and marketing transformation. If you think about broadening, we just actually announced last week that the highly popular video game that my 18-year-old son plays, the NBA 2K20, will have WNBA players that you can select and are rated high. So that'll be fun, but really it's broadening that fan base and getting more people.
That's gamers right there, right?
Yeah.
So that's a whole other world.
A whole other digital native world. So I'm very excited about that. So it's looking at all different platforms, whether it's the Yes Network or whether it's Twitter, whether it's CBS Sports Network signed on. We have AT&T as our first non-apparel sponsor on the front of all of our jerseys, the year. So, really looking at that as part of the whole brand reset.
And I know you have to be happy about that momentum that continues to grow. You mentioned the video game, the rebranding that we've seen at the start of the season, also All-Star Weekend and the Friday night, and the fun that everybody had in Vegas.
Yeah, no, it was, MGM knows how to put on the show. And,
they sure do.
And the Las Vegas Aces. So, no, it was a great event this year. And what a great culmination with the MVP being Erica Wheeler, undrafted Rutgers product from across the river here. Great story about an emotion, and that's what this league is all about, these great stories, and there's 144 or 143 other stories like Erica's that is very unique and quite frankly kind of inspirational for me as a business leader coming in. I thought I wasn't really expecting how amazing all their stories are.
Why was this the best move for you, to go from Deloitte to the WNBA?
Well, three things. After 33 years in business, I was looking for something different with a broad...
And challenging, right?
Challenging, definitely, with a broad women's leadership platform and something I had a passion for. And having played, as you mentioned, Michael, earlier for Muffet McGraw, when she was at Lehigh before she went on to Notre Dame and great success as a Naismith Hall of Fame coach, it just seemed to make sense. My father was actually drafted by the Detroit Pistons in 1957. That's incredible. A long time ago. So I kind of would say I have 5 brothers and grew up with sports and, just was a great answer for me.
Kathy, thank you so much for stopping by. Really appreciate it.
So much. Julianne, thank you so much.
Excited to see the Golden Eagles. Thank you.
Excited.
All right, 5:58 to go in the second quarter. Seattle leads the way 32-24 over the New York Liberty here on Yes. Largest lead of the game for Seattle. Appreciate Kathy Engelberg stopping by, WNBA Commissioner. Great stuff with her.
Absolutely. She is a tremendous speaker and a woman I look up to. I mean, she has been quite the success. And then in this moment, too, in the game, Michael, is where New York needs to respond. This is what was one of my keys was the run and really responding to these kinds of situations.
And there's an illegal screen there. Lena Mosquea-Lewis called for the offensive foul. You're so right, Jules. There have been so many times throughout games this season with New York where they go through these lulls, and it affects them on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball, which leads to these runs, and they have to find a way
to stop the bleeding.
There's one way right there as Tina Charles knocks down the J.
And it's tough because you can't really... This team is a great defensive team, the Storm, so if your offense is not good against them, it can be a long day.
There's Whitcomb frying away from 3 and knocking it down. She has one of the quickest releases in the league.
She got another one. I mean, she's finding a lot of openings, and she's been really knocking them down with a little bit of a window.
Again, largest lead of the game for Seattle is now 9. Tina Charles once again. No good. For Natasha Howard stepping out of bounds there. Substitutions for Seattle: Alicia Clark, Jordan Canada back in the game for the Storm. There's Nurse.
Nurse struggling here today to put one in.
She's 0 for 2.
Well, she hasn't taken much.
No. Well, it's a sign that she has been aggressive in this game. As Hartley lines one up, she gets the triple to go.
Well, they need that out of Hartley. Hartley is very successful from distance when she gets a good look. Very uncommon for her to miss.
An important stretch for New York. We'll see what the score is looking like at halftime. They're going to have to close down the lane. Sammy Whitcomb drives right in and gets the layup to go.
She brings that energy, and because she's making shots from distance, that's why she had the opening to get to the lane. It opens up the rest of your game when you can knock them down.
First player to reach double figures for the Storm. She has 10.
And Whitcomb's limping.
Nurse gets the 3. That's her first field goal of the game. A little back and forth action in the midway point of the second quarter. Canada controlling. Tanisha Wright going to check back in at the next dead ball. Oh, Wickham thought about the shot. Gives it over to Russell. No good. Battle for the offensive board. It's going to stay there. Seattle will retain possession. Nice box out there by Alicia Clark. As Wright checks back into the game. Just one of those things, Jules, finishing a defensive possession. You're trying to get on a run, trying to build some momentum leading into halftime.
It is important for them to build that momentum for sure. And they've been able to close this gap here, which is a good sign.
See if they can get a defensive stop. Natasha Howard. Blocked inside by Tina Charles. Just right the other way.
That's excellent one-on-one defense by Tina.
Charles on Howard.
Wow. Just commanding.
See that emotion from Tina Charles. And Dan Hughes needs to talk things over. Talk about juice in the building. Barclays Center starting to come alive. And
you certainly cannot go at Tina and expect to get an easy bucket. Nice defensive presence. Pushes the tempo, runs the floor. And you look at, nobody's behind her. Nobody's double teaming her. This is what happens. So good one-on-one with her back to the basket. And that's the way to use her strength and her physicality.
She doesn't often show emotion. You see her with 14 points in this game, Tina Charles. Rest of the team with 20.
She's feeding off the energy, too.
Yes.
Feel that energy in this arena. And she was quoted before the game saying that this is a venue, Barclays Center is a venue worthy of a professional team. And no doubt about it, the energy is there. The crowd is bumping here today. They got a lot of people out. And that really does play a role as a player. A lot of these players have played at Madison Square Garden, so they know that vibe. They brought him out.
Oh, the energy is electric here. Starting to come alive as Liberty go on their run.
And I think that's the hope that this team could potentially play more games here next year.
Second quarter field goals, Seattle 6 for 12, New York 7 for 11. They've been on a roll as of late and starting to pick it up on the defensive side of the ball as well. There's a travel right there. Another solid defensive possession. We'll see what New York does on the offensive end.
And again, right now, the Liberty in 9th place, they're really the first ones out at this point in terms of the playoffs, but they can still make it. So these games matter.
Tina Charles sizzling. It's a one-point game. Canada. No good. 7-0 run by the Liberty. Can they keep it going? Got to get it to the hot hand.
Yeah, she is feeling it. She's in the zone.
She is. And she steps down the Liberty bench.
I love it. She is showing emotion. You mentioned it, Michael.
Oh, Alicia Clark with the answer from long distance. That's the 11th lead change of the game.
That's the way to shut a crowd up, though.
It's getting loud in here. Partly controlled. That was a nice answer by Seattle and Alicia Clark. And Tanisha Wright. A little confusion on whether it was a 2 or a 3. They're calling it a 3. There's the 12th lead change of this game. Natasha Howard with the answer. No good. Mercedes Russell with the putback. Can't get it to go, but she's fouled.
And Mercedes Russell getting herself in a position to get the second chance opportunity, and she's really established the post player position for this team. She's the one that has really gotten the opportunity with the missing of Stewie this season in her absence. She's the one that's benefited the most from that, the main recipient of that injury, and she's stepped up. She hasn't done a lot today because I think Tina Charles is putting a body on her, but drafted by the Liberty in the second round of the 2018 draft, and then was cut just after 2 appearances. She's been good with Seattle.
Folks on the Seattle side trying to give her a push for League's most improved player in the way that she stepped up this season.
She's gotten a chance.
We are all tied up at 41 here at Barclays Center. Tina Charles really can't be contained. Fouled there. She has 18 points, 8 of 12 shooting from the floor, also has 4 boards. And we're just in the first half.
Yeah, she's having a heck of a game. Will she have that kind of energy in the second half to maintain? She has been terrific.
Hartley can't get it to go, but there's Trey Kakakua with the putback. Liberty back on top. Canada nice feed to Natasha Howard. She gets the easy deuce.
Canada is tremendous at getting others involved. The two of them really work well together. She's got that next level ability, a lot like Sue Bird.
Almost a dangerous pass to Charles, but Charles takes it all the way herself. She's got 20.
Charles in charge.
And there's a steal. No numbers for Hartley.
That's smart, though. Hartley not forcing it. She could have turned it over there, and she just pulled it out.
Oh, tough feed.
Speak of the devil. I shouldn't have mentioned turnover.
It's our first jinx of the game.
Whoops.
And Seattle, Seattle will have an opportunity to hold perhaps for the final shot of this first half, what has been entertaining. Back and forth, especially in this second quarter. Canada controlling, gets a screen. Over to Howard, couldn't control it. Driving, almost lost it. Canada fires away, it doesn't go. And that's how the first half is going to come to a close with the New York Liberty closing the half on a 16-6 run. And they lead by 2 coming up at halftime. Liberty Unity Day panel feature. Great event that they had on Thursday. We'll have that for you. First half analysis. And plus, we've been looking forward to this.
Maybe. Maybe.
Our great camera crew may be giving something away. Third quarter underway. We had an explosive second quarter that saw the Liberty get back in the game and take a 2-point advantage. That's a race 15 seconds into the third quarter. Sammy Whitcomb knocking down the baseline 3.
And again, an important part of the game here. Carry that momentum over.
There's a steal by Natasha Howard. First team all defense a season ago. She wants it again this season. Fast start by Seattle.
And another live ball turnover there, right at the top of the key where you're telegraphing your pass. So important against this team to use ball fakes.
They did a great job of limiting that, speaking of the Liberty, in that first half. Tina Charles picks up where she left off in the first half. She has 22.
And she has mastered the bank shot.
Jordan Canada with an athletic attempt, can't get it to go, but offensive rebound there. Shot clock winding down, and Canada gets an easy jump shot to go. Liberty looking for a little energy here, a little sluggish start to this third quarter. 50-47 advantage for the Storm. And there's a bad pass there. Tina Charles looking for Tanisha Wright.
And Gray should be pretty well rested. She really sat a lot of minutes in the first half with those 2 fouls early.
Canada with it. Looking for Russell. Also has to do something with it. Puts it up. She calmly knocks down that J. She wasn't in trouble.
She doesn't let much ruffle her. I mean, she's pretty smooth. And clearly this team is looking towards her future, just re-signing her to a multi-year contract.
There's another steal. Whitcomb over to Alicia Clark. And the Liberty may need a timeout. Yes, they do.
Yeah, that's a big timeout. 2 live ball turnovers in a row, leading to 4 points. And you got to love the ball movement here, but the defense from Whitcomb and then the transition allowing Seattle to extend this lead.
Back in Brooklyn, Michael Grady, Julianne Viana here with you. Seattle leading the Liberty 54-47. Tomorrow, the New York Yankees are back home for a day-night doubleheader with the Baltimore Orioles. Yes, we'll have full coverage of Game 1 starting at 12:30 and pre- and post-game shows around the nightcap on Pix 11. Don't miss a big day of Yankees baseball only on the X. They get a big win today, 1-0. Tanaka serving it up on the hill. 8 innings pitched, only gave up 3 hits.
Much-needed game for him.
Yes, indeed. New York in need of a much-needed basket. 10 seconds on the shot clock. And Natasha Howard, too aggressive. We're about 2.5 minutes in this third quarter. New York 1 for 3 from the floor in this third quarter, already with 3 turnovers. Meanwhile, Seattle 5 for 6.
I'll tell you one thing Howard's improved on is she doesn't foul as much. She was leading the WNBA in fouls per game last season, so she's cleaned that up. I mean, she was fouling out of games all the time.
And that's saying something considering how aggressive she plays defense. She's continuing to play at a high level without fouling as Rashonda Gray gets the layup to go down.
Nice.
Wickham.
Great job. Great two-man game there. Wickham kind of looks away. A good dive to the basket by Howard. The two of them play with that terrific chemistry in the two-man game.
Rashonda Gray picking up another foul. And Wickham getting so much attention on the perimeter, given the fact that she shot so well in this game. First free throw good for Natasha Howard. Fans, what has been your favorite New York Liberty moment this season? Let us know on social media using the handle @NYLiberty, and be sure to give the Lib some love with the official hashtag. That's hashtag LibertyLive.
Well, one thing New York does sometimes is the overhelp. It was actually something Bria Hartley was quoted saying after, I think, the last game or the one before that. It's important they don't overhelp on players at times, leaving too much openings in the two-man pick-and-roll game.
Another miss for New York. Here's Wickham the other way. Stop, pop, good.
Looked like she got away with a walk. But she has been on fire.
This match is the largest lead of the game for Seattle. They're on a 15-4 run, leading 58-49.
And another moment where the Liberty have to respond to the punch in the face here.
Again, nothing materializing on this offensive possession. Nurse is going to have to make something happen.
The defense has been sweltering from Seattle. That's been the key. Their defensive energy has picked up more in the second half, and it's led to offense as well. That has been the absolute key, which is why they've won games that they had no business winning this year. At times.
Yep. And important to note once again with Seattle is Tanner doesn't get the shot to fall. With Natasha Howard foul inside. It is remarkable that they are where they are. 2 games over 500. No Sue Bird, who averaged 10 points, 7 assists last season. No Brianna Stewart, who averaged 22 a game last year. Jewel Lloyd, outstanding guard, has been in and out of the lineup due to an ankle injury. And here they are in playoff position.
Yep, they've been fighters, and they've had to replace quite a few minutes and points. And now they lead the league in steals per game, ahead of even Connecticut by just a steal or so.
Here's Boyd. Nice layup. Off the steal and feet ahead by Tanisha Wright.
The easiest way to get some buckets. A little defense to offense.
Trying to get this Liberty crowd back in it here at Barclays Center. Just joined his first ever regular season game here at Barclays Center for the New York Liberty here on the 3rd annual Unity Day. There's Boyd trying to provide a spark. Nice feed to Rashonda Gray. Layup too hard. Put back no. Looking for a whistle, and she gets it.
That's one she wishes she could have finished. She had the opening just a little too hard here as she went up with the ball. Needed a little more of a soft touch. Great post-entry pass in the lob from Brittany Boyd. But she stays with every play, and that's what makes her special. She's gritty. She sticks with it, gets the opportunity to get to the free throw line and actually get those 2 points that she just missed in the layup.
Sammy Wickham was called for that foul. Gray knocked down the first one, 57% foul shooter on the season. That's nice. Knocked down both of them. 5-point game.
At halftime, Michael, the Liberty haven't gotten to the line as much as Seattle, so they can get into attack mode. That will bode well for them. Get to the line.
Shot from the outside, no good. Here comes Boyd the other way. Liberty trying to chip away at this lead once again. Feed inside to Charles. He hadn't had many looks in this third quarter after being hot in the first half. Turnover. There's Russell. No good. And we have a foul. Mercedes Russell called for that foul running up the court. That's her third, battling Rashonda Gray running up the court. 58-53. 4:50 to go in this third quarter. Liberty trying to get that momentum back in front of a great crowd here at Barclays Center.
You see Alicia Clark all over Brittany Boyd, really trying to disrupt that offense from the point.
Another foul inside. Things may be starting to even out in that department. Alicia Clark called for that foul. Fourth team foul on the Storm. Sure, the Liberty, again, they want to spread things out for sure, but you want to continue to get looks to Tina Charles.
Right, and she was getting a lot more looks in the first half now. Of course, it was only a matter of time that Seattle closed in on her a little bit more. I mean, you look at the stats at halftime, 20 points from her, and then the next highest is 6. And so they've certainly done a better job on her, making it more difficult for her to get passes and opportunities.
5 turnovers for the Liberty in this quarter alone, just 1 for Seattle. Wickham to Howard, who floats it up. Through contact, still gets the shot to fall.
And Wickham is a very good passer, and Howard and her, really, they play well together. Howard knows how to get into space. That's important when you're off the ball.
And there's another turnover. 6th of the quarter. Wickham to Clark, pump fake, gets the layup to fall. And it's once again a 9-point advantage for Seattle.
Forget it. If they get a chance to run and get this game in rhythm and fast pace, that could be a problem for New York. Too easy. And Katie Smith over there yelling to her team to be aggressive. Continue to be aggressive. She wants them to amp that up.
It was a nice feed to Gray, but it was Natasha Howard with the quick hands. And it leads to a 3-point basket by Alicia Clark, and there is your largest lead of the game for Seattle. It's at 12. 65-53. Seattle playing aggressive brand of basketball. They came into here losing 3 of their last 4. They are coming up and win over Dallas. But they are keeping that momentum going, playing so well.
They are. They've been terrific, and they're getting a chance to run the basketball, and it's all started on the defensive end. They're getting stops or they're getting steals, and it's leading to opportunities. And Alicia Clark has been terrific. She's been all over the floor, and one of the biggest indicators for why the Storm improved so much from 2017 to 2018 was Alicia Clark. There was a non-existent supporting cast last year outside of Stewart, Lloyd, and Bird. And so these are players that played a lot of minutes last year, and now this year they're stepping into Sue Bird's shoes, who's out right now. Stewie's out. I mean, this is what they're missing. An 11-time All-Star.
This is like losing Chris Paul and LeBron in the same season if they were playing for the same team.
Exactly.
First overall pick by Seattle in 2002. The WNBA's all-time leader in assists, 3-time champion, won the title in 2004, 2010, and of course in 2018, as you mentioned, Jules, 11-time All-Star, 8-time All-WNBA. And she hasn't played this season due to that left knee injury. But again, averaged 10 points, dished out 7 assists last season, controlled the action, big time player. And even at this point in her career, still awfully effective, speaking of a season ago. And
she's also been able to mentor some of the younger guards in Jordan, Canada specifically. And of course, Jewel Lloyd. And they're playing well without her. But Absolutely. With her, they're unstoppable. This gives her a chance to rest, I'll tell you that.
No doubt. No doubt. Mercedes Russell can't get the putback call. There's a foul on the play. Looks like it's on Rebecca Allen. Third team foul on New York. Again, big-time momentum shift. Seattle came out with a different attitude. And even though they're without the stars that we spoke of, they still have that championship pedigree. And that's what we've seen in the second half.
And it rolls over into a championship mentality, too, Michael.
Fans of New York Liberty are back in action at the Westchester County Center this Tuesday, August 13th, versus the Minnesota Lynx at 7 p.m. Go to Ticketmaster.com/NY Liberty for tickets today. Last two WNBA champions making their way to New York. And be interesting, we have not seen a WNBA Finals in a while that did not feature Natasha Howard. We'll get to that in a moment.
She's a straight winner.
Baseline drive by Clark. Good ball movement, Joel Lloyd. That's cold as ice.
That was an excellent. I think 4 players touched the ball there in the reversal of the basketball. Just unselfish.
10-0 Seattle run. They lead by 15. Gray trying to make a move, and she's fouled inside. Going back to Howard. 4 straight WNBA Finals appearances. Indiana was the first. 2 straight appearances with Minnesota, and then a season ago winning the title here with Seattle. She
is one of the best posts in the game, post/guards. I mean, she's athletic, brings a different look, that versatility, and like we said, she went from a rotation type of bench player to a starter, and her game, I think, went under the radar when she was in Minnesota, especially. I mean, I wouldn't say under the radar, but to a degree, because she wasn't starting. I mean, then she started playing more and then doing more. When you get the chance, she runs with it.
Ability is nothing without opportunity. And she's certainly taken advantage of it, enjoying her first all-star season in the WNBA.
What's funny is she really prefers being Robin, not Batman, but she's had to take the Batman role on this season.
And done a great job with it. She gets the offensive board there. Under 2 minutes to go in this third quarter. Seattle leading 68-54. Canada trying to make something happen. Toss it off the top of the backboard. Here comes Harper. A lot of bodies falling. Foul on Seattle. Called on Natasha Howard. Here in the penalty, so Hartley will shoot 2. Again, the things that we talked about headed into the game, the turnovers, the point guard situation, defensively, not an issue in the first half, but reared his head once again here in the third.
And it's been kind of a reoccurring theme for this Liberty squad is that they've not been consistent for an entire game often this season. And that's one thing Katie Smith wishes this team could be more of, is consistent. I want them to do it for 4 quarters, not just 2 quarters or 3 quarters. And they started to show signs of that against Chicago, but couldn't finish it out. So that comes with maturity and the chemistry, and of course shortening the bench a bit.
Yeah. Sometimes an embarrassment of riches can be a gift and a curse. There are a number of rotation players in the backcourt who can play. As we have an offensive foul there on Neo and Takapunwa. But it's certainly when the players return from Eurobasket, you want to get Lorraine Johannes in the rotation. You're getting Bria Hartley back in the rotation. That means Brittany Boyd is losing minutes. And it's hard for players to find a rhythm that way.
It really is, and it's a difficult position to put a coach in. And so basically you just have to try to always be ready when your number is called.
Approaching a minute to go in this third quarter. It's been all Seattle here in the second half. Boyd to Rain Kakunwe to Han Shu, who just recently checked in. She can't get it to fall. Langhorne with the rebound.
That's a shot you've got to knock down if you're Han Shu. You get limited minutes. Wide open around the hoop.
Real Hartley called for that foul. First in the final 2 minutes, 17 on the shot clock for Seattle. Crystal Langhorne driving on Shu. And there's good defense there. Ball goes out of bounds. Langhorne stops on the baseline, and she couldn't see. All she saw was New York. On Shu blanketing her there.
She is tall. Absolutely. She is one of the tallest we've seen in the league.
Shu with it to Hartley. Liberty needing to make something happen. And there's a nice play. Hartley getting in for the layup. 11-point game.
Rhea Hartley is so under control. She's one of the best on this team at getting to the rim. I wish she'd do it more often.
Still plenty of game left to be played. It's an 11-point advantage for Seattle. Lloyd driving. The floater off the glass was good. That's a tough shot. The Storm outscore the Liberty 27-12 in the third quarter. Still plenty of basketball to go, but it's all Storm. 70-57, fourth quarter action on the way here on Yes. One more quarter to go here at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. All Seattle in that third quarter. They lead 70-57. Michael Grady here alongside Julianne Vianney and Jules. Now a good time to revisit some of your keys to the game headed into this one.
I said early on that 15 turnovers or less could create a W for them. They're already at 16. They did a better job in the first half than they've done in the second. 9 in the third quarter alone, and a lot of those were live ball turnovers leading to buckets, and that's been a problem all season. And then the runs have been a problem here, and then the communication on defense hasn't improved. They're allowing the Storm to shoot 50%, 50-50, 50 from 3 and 50 from 2. I mean, that is just too easy for them. But so much of that has been because of the Storm's defense, leading to easy baskets.
There's a shot from the outside from Maureen Johannes, no good. And New York certainly prone to turn over the basketball, but certainly want to give credit, as you mentioned, to Seattle because their defense has been menacing. As Natasha Howard gets to lay up the ball.
Well, they amped the energy up for sure in that second quarter. So kudos to Dan Hughes for getting his players to be able to play. I don't know what he said at halftime, but he certainly knew, hey, we're better than this. But 9 in one quarter is just too many.
Tina Charles has to put it up. No good on the three. Here comes Shavante Zealous, former WNBA champion in her own right with Indiana. And Jewel Lloyd, easy lane to the basket. Great two-man basketball there by Seattle.
Zealous also played for New York for a while, so certainly very familiar with this organization. Their big off-season acquisition.
Rhea Hartley for three. Off. Zealous inside the Langhorne, the veteran. Fouled on the play.
Yeah, she killed her that time. Langhorne is such a core Seattle player. She's been with the franchise since 2014. We've seen a big dip in her play this season as we look at these two. Asia Durr out with a groin. Force them into Zowie B, the two of them. Not having the two of them, that's a lot of offense that they're missing.
Yes. And Asia Durr, what she can do on the defensive side of the ball as well. Really battling with that groin injury.
And that's hurt her all season. It's really gotten her out of rhythm. Because they need her on the floor. I mean, she's one of those players that has the ability to hot and hurry.
And Zowie B took an unfortunate fall against Chicago in the last game at the back of her head on the court. Still dealing with symptoms from that. As Jewel Lloyd gets a deflection. Here comes Seattle once again. Turnover still a problem for the Liberty.
Forcing too much.
But they get one right back. Hartley fouled by Jewel Lloyd, so she'll go to the free throw line.
That's great hustle by Bria Hartley. She's the one player right now that has the energy. She seems to really be doing it on both ends of the floor. And this is a nice job getting a piece of it. And then forcing Lloyd to foul her in transition. And they called it.
Hartley to the free throw line, another one that we talked about. Who is going to take advantage of the point guard spot for the New York Liberty? Hartley will have her opportunities for sure. She's been distributing the ball well lately. 6 assists in the last game. She has 10 points, 4 assists tonight. But you want to see who's going to be consistent and kind of take that mantle. That's
exactly right. And Hartley's probably been the most solid all season in terms of when she's been here and not overseas and everything. You know what you're going to usually get from her. She's also a veteran.
Rebecca Allen called for that foul. That'll put Natasha Howard back at the free throw line. And Howard leading the way for Seattle this season. 3rd in the WNBA in scoring. And a little over 18 points a game. Also pulling down 8 boards. And her style of play, you can tell that she spent some time with Tamika Catchings.
Yeah, you got that right.
Hustling on both ends of the floor. Tomorrow night, don't miss an all-new episode of Homegrown, the Pinstripes, presented by Wendy's. And see how top pitching prospect David Garcia is adjusting to life in AAA. That's tomorrow at 10:30 following the Yankees postgame on Yes. .74-59, 7.5 to go in this final quarter. Foul called on Shavante Zellis. She's a little skeptical. Everybody right.
Most of the time, that's the case, right? I did not do it.
On me, really? Mercedes Russell checks back in. It's Natasha Howard takes the seat. 15-point advantage for the Storm.
This is a huge possession here. If you want to cut this down now, you've got to really get back in this thing in increments. Win the 1-2 minute increments. You don't have a whole lot of time left here in the fourth.
Another aspect of this game, defending the three, also knocking it down themselves in the offensive end. The Liberty 4 for 18 from three-point range. Meanwhile, the Storm 6 for 12. They've hit timely shots too.
And the Storm have had to change the flow of their offense this season. Without Stewart and Bird on the floor, their offense used to be a little bit more fluent. They used to run more. I mean, it really has turned into more of a methodical half-court offense at times. But they have done a really good job utilizing what they've got.
Lena Mosqueda-Lewis off on the three-point attempt with a foul inside. And it's called on Tina Charles. And that's her 4th. It's the missed shots, the turnovers, they all contributed, but the Liberty just haven't been able to take advantage of this, great crowd that's here at Barclays Center.
For a while, this place was bumping, and they were riding the wave, and the big key in the second half has been limiting Tina Charles' touches.
Nice block inside by Tina Charles. Will come to Liberty the other way.
So New York can get some other people, Michael, to score, and that's
right on cue. Bria Hartley having herself a nice game. 14 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Shavante Zellis off on the shot, and it's New York ball.
Still a lot of time in terms of basketball time. You can come back. Big bucket there from Hartley.
And you can tell, Dan, he was recognizing that as Sammy Whitcomb, Alicia Clark check back in, and Natasha Howard, short rest. She's going to check back in next dead ball.
Yeah, you can't leave Howard off the floor for too long. Because she's someone that impacts the game on both ends tremendously, not just one end.
Tanisha Wright to Rebecca Allen. Tough shot off the front of the rim, no good, but it's kicked out. And there's a three-point basket from Hartley, back-to-back triples. 8-0 run. And the lead is down to single digits. And this Barclays Center crowd is coming alive.
And how about this for a little run? And Bria Hartley is feeling it. 2 threes in a row. And the Liberty getting back into this thing.
Julianne Vianney here with you. 5:52 to go in the fourth quarter. Seattle leading the Liberty 74-65. The lead was 15 moments ago. But we have seen the Liberty go on a run thanks to Bria Hartley. She has 8 straight buckets, and her 17 points matches a season high too.
She's done it everywhere. 6 boards, 4 assists right now. I mean, that is exactly what they need. Tina Charles only has 2 points in the second half. So Seattle really did a great job on her, limiting her.
You mentioned it at halftime, Jules. You said somebody else has to step up. Tina Charles had 20 points. Nobody else had anything going. And given the fact that Seattle has focused their defense on limiting Tina Charles, Bria Hartley stepping up has been timeless.
Big time. Otherwise, it's too easy to beat the Liberty. Stop Tina, and that's all you need to do. And teams know that. So if you can get something out of others, I mean, that's a perfect example of trying to force it, and then you get in trouble.
Trying to get Tina going. They're going to need her down the stretch, even though Hartley has the hot hand. There's Delane. She's added a 3-point shot to her arsenal, so you have to respect that. As Whitcomb fires away. Oh.
That's a tough shot. I mean, Tina actually closed out on her, had a hand in her face, and boy, she just has a quick trigger.
I mentioned it a couple of times. She was 0 for 7 in their last game just the other night. She has 7 field goals, 7 for 11 she's shooting in this game as Rebecca Allen gets that involved. Allen's coming off of a career high performance, struggling a little bit today. That's her 6th point of the night.
But I like to see her taking it to the basket. But again, the Liberty need to get some stops.
Could have got a turnover there, but Clark has it inside of Natasha Howard. And a shot clock violation. There was contact. But the shot clock expired beforehand. Another solid defensive possession by the Liberty.
And that's what they need. They need to get those stops and string it together.
Taking a look at the turnovers there by half. Seattle consistent, but you've seen it increase for the Liberty.
They've done a better job in the fourth than in the third. The third quarter could prove to be the bugaboo for them if they end up losing this one. Its numbers don't lie, and even Katie was telling me that before the game. She's been showing the team the numbers.
Nearly a turnover there, trying to make something happen. Here's Rebecca Allen with the reverse in traffic.
The way to be there. 2 players all over Tina Charles. Somebody's open.
You can hear the Barclays Center crowd coming alive. 8-point game. Another deflection. Shot clock winding down for Seattle. Canada trying to make a move. Spins, left hand, no good. Here's Charles with it. Hartley. Nice crossover. But she's tied up, and it's a jump ball.
And that was a tough situation. She had 4 gold jerseys in front of her. Luckily, they kept possession. Bria here trying to take it, and there's a few players in front of her that they'll get the ball back here. Big possession to keep alive.
You make a nice move to get past a tough perimeter defender, and then you have to top the Howard way more.
Right, but nice job by Wright establishing it.
Wright has had some sneaky great plays for the Liberty in this game. Had the deflection rebound kicked out to Hartley for 3. She puts up one herself. That does not fall. Russell with the rebound. Approaching 3 minutes to go. 8-point lead for Seattle. Liberty needed stops. Foul there on Naomi Kinley. That's her 4th.
They're not quite in the bonus yet.
3 team fouls for both teams. Again, the Liberty trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. Playing once again their first regular season game here at Barclays Center.
And it really is about that hunger right now. I mean, how bad do you want it? And which team will show up day to day? And this is a team that's still within reach with playoffs. So they've got to continue to play hungry. This is where the gut check comes, right?
No question. This is winning time, as they say. Officials had some issues with the clock. Got it sorted out. 10 on the shot clock for Seattle. Again, Liberty needing to stop here. Shot to Howard. Driving. Left hand. Off. Russell, big time offensive rebound.
And she pulls it out. Very wise decision. Try to kill more clock. That's what they want to do.
With them. She's been hot all game. Nice speed. Well, almost an incredibly athletic play by Joe Lloyd. Doesn't get it to go. Here's Hartley. Out to Kia Nurse. Can she hit the 3? No.
And she's been cold all day. It's too bad because she's getting some looks.
Really good looks.
I haven't seen her this open in some games in a while.
Joe Lloyd stops, pops. It's off. Tina Charles at the board. Time really starting to work against the Liberty. They got to speed things up here. Approaching 2 minutes to go. They trail by 8. Charles off 1 foot. No good. Under 2 minutes. 8-point advantage for Seattle. Natasha Howard. Ooh.
That's
a backbreaker right there. Increases the lead to 10 for Seattle. Big time bucket. 10-point advantage for the Storm here on Yates. Out here in Brooklyn, watching Liberty basketball. Seattle leading by 10. Michael Grady, Julianne Vianney here with you. The Simba cam right there, maybe. Hey, let's revisit trivia. We haven't gotten our answer to our trivia question. Who are the only 2 players to play at least 80 games for both the Liberty and the Storm?
All right, well, that's an easy one. Tanisha Wright. Now, I was thinking Tanisha Wright and Shavonte Zealous. Yeah, exactly. Zealous is on the floor here today, and she certainly is a player. That's my guess. Oh, it was good. I would have guessed it. I would have absolutely guessed Shavonte Zealous, but that's a good one.
Tanisha Wright with cash.
Former Liberty exec, now in the NBA circles with the Pelicans, really balling out in her career. I'm so proud of her.
There's another crucial turnover for the New York Liberty. As Tina Charles falling for the illegal screen. That's her 5th. 1:36 to go. And Seattle in firm control with time on their side. They try to milk some clock here. Clark. Fouled on the drive, so she will go to the line. In Seattle in that playoff picture. Currently in the 6th spot, looking to move up. They're within striking distance of the Chicago Sky. As Clark knocks down the first free throw. The New York Liberty's push for the playoff continues. Watch them live as they take on the Atlanta Dream Friday, August 23rd at 7:30 p.m. Grab your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/NYLiberty.
Well, this Seattle team, though, when they need to come up with crunch buckets, they seem to be able to. And they make free throws. Very fundamentally sound group.
Rhea Hartley has missed on the other end. Hartley's had a strong game, 17 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Natasha Howard adds to her point total in this game.
And there's no way Rebecca Allen can stay with Howard. I mean, that was just too easy. Allen gets stuck on her, and they recognize it, and they go right to her.
17 points for Natasha Howard. Partly missing on the three. Another rebound for Howard, her 7th of the day. And Alicia Clark's going to go back to the free throw line. Tuesday night, the Liberty returned to the Westchester County Center to face off against former MVP Sylvia Fowles and the Minnesota Lynx. Tip-off is at 7, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. You can catch the full replay after Yankees coverage that night on Yes. We'll be back here with you just a little bit further north. Jewel Lloyd on Chu back in. 83-69. Jules, reoccurring theme for this Liberty team?
Yeah, consistency. I mean, I think you look at the bench. We were just showing the bench before. Disheartening looks because you're so close. It's just you can't seem to put the full game together. You have quarters where you have these moments of glory, and then you just can't hang on to it. And kudos to the defense. I mean, Seattle really came out in the second half, and they shut down Tina Charles. Really proves that it's just too easy to stop New York. Somebody else doesn't step up.
20 points for Tina Charles in the first half. And credit to the Seattle defense in limiting her touches. She just had 2 points in the second half of play. And that's how the game will come to a close. Seattle winning 84-69. 3 games between these two teams this season. 3 wins.